Mr. Stumbo, thanks for taking time out of your day and your time that you're spending campaigning for Solicitor, which is our district attorney for Lawrence County. And thank you for participating in the Lawrence County Tea Party's effort to better inform the voters about the candidates, their records, and positions on a variety of issues. We're making this video of question and answer sessions, and we're going to post them on our website. They'll be posted in their entirety with no editing. Because our time is limited, we ask that you be brief as possible in your answer. So let's begin. Mr. Stumbo, what experience do you bring to this job?
Well, I've been a prosecutor across the state of South Carolina for my entire career, legal career up through December of last year. I had 2 stints at the Attorney General's office under Attorney Generals Henry McMaster and Alan Wilson, and I also worked in the 11th Circuit Solicitor's office for close to 4 years for Solicitor Donnie Myers and handled a variety of cases from homicides to child sex abuse to drug trafficking, felony DUIs, a little bit of everything. When I worked at the Solicitor's office, had a very diverse and large caseload and limited time to prosecute those cases, and that's the primary experience I have as a prosecutor, which is what the solicitor is the chief prosecutor for the area. I also supervise lawyers through the state grand jury when I worked for Attorney General Wilson, which has given me supervisory experience over attorneys, which is also part of the role of solicitors to manage prosecutors within the office and make sure they're handling their caseloads properly so we can get justice for the citizens of this county and keep our families safe.
Okay, please describe your management style. For example, if a disciplinary situation arose, how would you handle it? Or if you had to let someone go, how would you handle that? And please speak from experience.
Well, I can't say that I've ever had to fire anyone. In the supervisory role I was in at the Attorney General's office, fortunately we had good attorneys working for us and good people, and I never had to fire anyone. But if I was put in that position as your solicitor, I certainly would not hesitate to let someone go who was not doing their job in the solicitor's office, who wasn't prosecuting cases properly, or who had a serious personal issue that necessitated that. My style is going to be more leading by example. And so as a manager, I believe that you have to lead from the front and you have to be in the courtroom and demonstrate for your employees, particularly in a solicitor scenario, you have to demonstrate for them how you get the job done in the courtroom. And if you're not actively in the courtroom striking juries and prosecuting cases, then it's very difficult to expect your prosecutors to do that. And so my management style is going to be one of leading from the front, not from the back.
Okay. In this role as solicitor, you'll have to operate within a fixed budget and staffing. Tell us about the most challenging experience you've had where you've operated within a fixed budget.
Well, I'll tell you this, in the year that I was supervisor in the state grand jury in Columbia for Attorney General Wilson, we had some severe cuts to our budget office-wide, and our division in particular was hit hard. We lost 7 attorneys in a year, and we were not able to replace one of them because of the severity on the state budget. The year before last, there was such a drop in revenue that the Attorney General's office was cut at the same rate as every other agency in government, which I thought was not the right way to do it. I believe prosecution agency is one of the core functions of government, and we should not have been cut at the same rate as some of these other state agencies that are not core functions of government. That being said, we were, and as the solicitor, if I'm elected, I'm not going to have a whole lot of control over how much money comes in the door from the legislature and from the county councils. And so we're going to have to operate with what we were given. And that's what I did as one of the supervising attorneys in the state grand jury working for Attorney General Wilson. When we lost those 7 attorneys, what we had to do was, it was attrition, and we couldn't replace them. So everybody's caseloads went up, and we dealt with the problem, and we did what we could do. But we still provided a service to this state, and we still worked as hard as we could to make sure those cases were done the right way, that we tried the cases that needed to be tried, that we handled the other cases the way they needed to be handled. So I do have experience with budgets that have been slashed and having to live a little bit leaner, I guess the best way to put it, in my experience as at the Attorney General's office.
Okay. How do you propose to help eliminate the drug problems in Lawrence County?
Well, I think we have to size up our docket that we're in, and particularly the drug cases. There is a large number of drug cases that come in the door at the solicitor's office. The cases that are made by the county, and particularly here in Lawrence County, what you would have is cases coming in from not only Lawrence County Sheriff's Department, but the Clinton Department of Public Safety, the city department under Chief Roberts down there, and under Chief Morris here in the city of Lawrence. All of those agencies have narcotics investigators. And so they're making a lot of drug arrests and bringing them to court for the solicitor to prosecute. I'm a big believer that as a prosecutor, what you have to do on the front end is separate the wheat from the chaff. You have to separate the major dealers from those that are habitual addicts that are just coming in over and over again, that are meth addicts, for example. The ones that are dealers and the major manufacturers of the drugs, we need to hit them as hard as we can. We have to take those folks, and the only way we know how to do that is to talk with law enforcement investigators, the ones that are out on the streets, and ask them, who are your worst ones? Tell us your top 20 drug dealers in Lawrence County, and we're going to go after them with as big of a hammer as we can go after them on and make examples of them. And then the ones that are addicts, we learn how to deal with those the best way we can. Sometimes just sending someone over and over again to the county jail who's strung out on meth isn't really solving the problem. And I'm a big believer in the drug court program that the solicitor is already employed. I think we need to enhance that program, and we need to expand it. When I worked in Lexington County for Solicitor Myers, we had the first drug court program, one of the first drug court programs in the country in the early 90s, which became a model for ones around the state and around the country. It's essentially a 12-step program, but the accountability is if those that we place in the drug court program don't complete it, and they're drug tested several times a week, they have to keep a job. They basically pay for the program, help pay for the program themselves by keeping the job, and they have to pay a percentage in, so it doesn't cost the taxpayers an inordinate amount of money as well. But I've seen that program work, and I've seen people that were hopeless drug addicts come out 18 months, 2 years later with a job, with their families there with them, at their drug court graduation, and they're ready to be productive members of society. The incentive for them to stay in that program and complete it was, if they did not, their charges went back to big court, and they had to face prosecution and prison time. And so I think that's a wonderful program if we can continue that for people that we think are appropriate. That program is not appropriate for the ones that are dealing all the drugs and making the money off of it. The ones that are the most prolific cooks of methamphetamine, we need to hit them between the eyes as hard as we can, take them to court, try them, convict them, and put them in prison so they're not back out the next week cooking meth again. Okay,
Mr. Stumbo, as solicitor, what are your plans to clear more cases?
Well, I think it starts with the jury trial. And I've had a large criminal docket working as an assistant solicitor in Lexington County. And the way you move cases efficiently and with the most just results is that you have to make examples out of the worst ones. And so if we have a backlog of murder cases, we need to take a few of those murder cases, strike juries, get convictions, and put them in prison for life. Or if when appropriate, notice them for the death penalty. And convict them and get death sentences. When we have a large docket of child sex abuse cases, we need to hit those guys as hard as we can, because in my view, we don't need to give any quarter to people that would hurt children. And so when we make some examples out of those most dangerous criminals, what's going to start happening to your docket is it's going to be handled the right way, and we can have reasonable plea offers where we're giving someone a plea offer that might involve them going to prison for a little while, but not for as long as they'll go if they force our hand and we go to trial. And so once you've made a few really tough examples after trial, you're going to be able to move the cases more quickly. You're not going to have the backlog long term that you have. If you don't make examples at trial, what defense attorneys do, and I've seen this happen, is they'll just sit back and wait. And they'll wait for the case to get a little bit older until you make a better offer where their guy won't go to prison. And then they'll take the deal 2 or 3 years down the road. So we have to be relentless and aggressive on the front end, using the jury trial as our weapon. And as a prosecutor, that's the biggest stick you have, is the jury trial. And we're going to utilize that. If I'm elected your solicitor, I'm going to utilize that to the highest degree possible. When I was in Lexington County as an assistant solicitor, I tried more cases to a jury than anybody in the office there, and I had over a 90% conviction rate. And we can do the same thing here. We're not doing that here right now. In fact, we're the one solicitor's office in the state over the last couple of years that's lost more jury trials than we've won. The only one. And so we have to do better than that if we're going to expect to move our cases the right way and clear them out with people actually getting just sentences and not light sentences.
Mr. Stumbo, thank you for your time.
Thank you.